Mr. Moskowitz, you are now recognized for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Congressman?
How you doing?
Good, sir.
All right. So, look, the reason emotions are high is because we almost did have a former president, and now the president-elect, literally almost killed live on television. And there were two pieces of luck that day, one bad, one good. The Secret Service's luck ran out that day because the systemic failures didn't start on July 13th. They were probably occurring, and the luck ran out that day. But luckily, President Trump moved his head and he wasn't killed. I can't imagine where we would be if we didn't have that second piece of luck. And so everyone here brings their different experience. I'm a former emergency management director. I know disasters when I see them, right? And July 13th was an absolute disaster. There's just no question about that. And I've done after-action reviews, and you go through the things, in your response to a hurricane and what failed, and then you're like a general fighting the last war. We're going to fix the things that failed that day. But really, you got to do more of a holistic approach, not just look at the things that failed that day, the things that aren't working in general, bigger picture, and not just fix just those specific things. I also am familiar about what it's like to come into an agency and clean up someone else's mess, which is what you're doing, and quite frankly. And so I applaud you for that, right? You've been handed, a ship with a hole in it, and it's taken on water, and you got to figure out how to, A, fix the hole and get the water out of the boat at the same time. And so I applaud you for stepping up and doing that. I want to talk about one of the comments that multiple people made on this committee, and it's for your agency and it's for other agencies, which is that a lot of time we get stuck in this process thing. Oh, because of process, we can't communicate with the public, or we're not going to communicate with Congress because of process. Agencies need to change with the times. Things are different now. And when you guys don't put out information, that vacuum gets filled with conspiracy theories. We talk about restoring faith in the institutions. Yes, government needs to work, and people need to see that they're competent. But at the same time, we're not going to be able to restore that faith if the agencies aren't communicating with the public and instead are getting conspiracy theories online because no one else is giving them information. And that's going to be a push-pull that you, DOJ, the FBI are going to have to deal with in today's world of communications. Other people will tell your story for you, and it will be false if you don't tell it. I want to talk about two specific things, and then I want to get to page 7 of the report, which for me is the most important. The 9/11 Commission recommended fixing the comms issue by creating a network. AT&T, FirstNet, I think Verizon has one as well. We knew about the comm failures that day, the throttling the radios, people on different systems, and yet 20 years, 25 years later, your agency is still struggling with the same problems we had on 9/11. Officers using their own personal cell phones, not on the network that was made for emergency personnel, which would have worked that day. Procurement. I want to talk about procurement because it's something that most people don't think about, and it's not sexy. And I did tons of procurement when I was the emergency management director. One of the reasons why we have this problem, and it's not just at the federal level, I saw it at the shooting in Marjory Stoneman Douglas at my high school between the city police versus the county, the sheriff's office, is everyone's doing their own procurement. Every city, every county, every state, every federal agency, every sector is doing different procurement. And you're all hiring different companies with different systems, and no one talks to each other. Computer systems, radio systems, whatever it is. And we're not going to fix this problem until we figure out how to do more of a comprehensive procurement for multiple agencies to get them on the same systems. And so that's a system piece, but I'm telling you, we're not going to fix this problem until that happens. But I want to talk about page 7 of the report. There's a line in there, and I'm not going to ask you to comment because I know what the answer will be. I've been through this. Page 7 of the report says, Congress must consider whether the Secret Service investigative obligations can effectively coexist with its primary protective mission and whether the agency's investigative functions should remain within the Department of Homeland Security. Yahtzee. And I will tell you that Homeland Security was the right to create it. Senator Lieberman was right. It has a core function. It should exist. We need to foster communication between our agencies, but I would surmise that the Department of Homeland Security has become too big. It can't function. It's 22 agencies, and it's just gigantic. And every director, administrator of FEMA that I've talked to, when they were in the agency, wouldn't tell me that. But as soon as they left, they would say, we can't make the changes that we know we need to make within FEMA because we can't get it done within Homeland. And so I'm going to be filing a bill the first day of next Congress to remove FEMA and Secret Service from Homeland Security and make them direct reports to the White House. I think the changes you want to make, I think you'll be able to make them quicker if you're not within Homeland. And so if we really want to talk about having our agencies respond faster, having our agencies fix these problems that didn't just exist on July 3rd, probably existed a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, we have to be serious about breaking up Homeland Security. We have to realize that a 22-agency department cannot function efficiently. So it's quite frankly the reason why I joined the DOJ committee, to some people's misconception. I joined it with a specific focus on trying to fix Homeland because that's where this conversation is going to happen, right? And so while we look at the report, I would tell you not to overlook page 7. Everything we've talked about technology, everything we talked about, everything Representative Green talked about culture, right? You actually had a funny line. You said you want to put the Secret Service, you want to put the secret back in Secret Service. I think Representative Green was making sure you don't forget about the service piece also, right? But I think you got to get outside of Homeland. I do. And I'm not going to ask you to comment on that because trust me, I've had 100 conversations, and when they're in public, they're very different than when they are in private. Everyone knows that Homeland is not working in its current condition. But you know what happens? Everyone wants to protect their sacred cow. You staff on the Homeland Security Committee, right? They won't let it happen. Homeland doesn't want to let it happen because they'll want more. 22, they'll take 30, right? I mean, it's just the way it's the way it's working. So, you know, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank your leadership running the committee. I want to thank Ranking Member Crow. I think the report is very important. I think we've done it on a bipartisan basis. But I really want to hit this point home. If we are serious about making these changes, then we got to get serious about we have an agency that is not functioning in Homeland because it's just too big. Thank you.